Okay, so I'm Daganit, and I've been a metaphysical teacher for 10 years now, since 2008, almost 11. And I love teaching the aura, and I've been a professional clairvoyant since 2006. And so one of the most common questions I always get is, can you see my aura? Like when people find out I'm a clairvoyant, and I can. And by the end of this workshop, you'll be able to see auras too. And so we'll spend just a few minutes in the description of an aura and with the discussion and better understanding of it. But really it is experiential. It's part of your energy body. And so we'll spend a good amount of time in meditation with your eyes closed to help you better see the aura, because with your eyes open, you might get distracted or think like, oh, I'm wearing black, so that's why I see a black aura, but maybe you're wearing black because your aura is black or whatever. So we'll reduce distractions with closing our eyes, going deep within, meditating, and experiencing the aura that way for a good while. And then the second half is the fun half where, and this is such a small group that it'll be in such a great space that we'll actually get to spread around and first feel each other's auras, and is it in tight, is it out far, and then we'll come back together in a circle and start reading one another's auras, and that often helps as a complement to, because if you're in it, sometimes it's easier to read others than it is yourself, and so the intuitive reading part will be really fun and add a greater depth to your understanding of an aura. So, so I'm guessing everyone's heard the word aura before, has like somewhat of an understanding of it. Basically, it is your energy body, and it's kind of like a bubble that extends like usually between 2 and 4 feet in front of you, behind you, above you, and beneath you. And so it's like your energy skin. And what most people don't know is that there are 7 layers to the aura, and they correlate with the 7 chakras. So each chakra has its own auric field. And so when people say what color, like when people are reading the color of the aura, whatever color is the most dominant, that tends to be usually your more dominant chakra. And we'll go into all of that in the meditation, and you'll have a better understanding of what the colors suggest, what those layers suggest. Okay. I love it. Yeah, and so a few things happen with the aura. So first off, the aura is wide, right? We often feel one another's auras before we even start talking, before we even have like a cognitive understanding of the person. We'll have this experience of the person. And so it actually does say a lot about you, and it can govern your friendships, and it can even govern how people are receiving you. And I have an example of this. So if you're feeling people, and sometimes I'll see this in clients where they're like, all I want is love, why can't I call love in? But then all across their aura is like, I don't trust anyone, I like my alone time, and all of these guarded things. So it's like while they're on all the dating apps and going out and like in the behavior of attracting love, because of this energy, vibration, and frequency that people are meeting them at, it's miscommunication in a way. It's out of alignment with their actual intention. So we will go through our auras and figure out what our messaging is, and it'll offer you a better idea of, or a better understanding of why certain relationships have been what they've been, and you're like, I was trying my hardest, or I was doing this and that, why wasn't it working? And this might give you a better understanding of, oh, because I had this programming in here that everyone was responding to. And then my example of that, and then so we'll heal all of that up and then set our auras to whatever we want. So you can set your aura to love. So after having that understanding, you can actually consciously set up the aura with your intention. So we've been unconsciously, as life happens, 2 things tend to happen. So as trauma happens, and this is from early age, like let's say, a kid wanted your toy, so they took your toy from you, and then from then, and it was a traumatic moment, you were 4 years old, but from that time, maybe you got the message of rejection, or maybe you got that you don't get it your way, or maybe you felt unexpressed, or whatever it might be. Usually when we're in an uncomfortable place like that, two things tend to happen to our aura as a coping mechanism. One is it might create thicker skin of the aura. It might manifest as a dark spot in the aura that's kind of a block to energy, or scar tissue. If you think of scar tissue, it's thicker than your actual skin, which makes you feel more safe and protected and less, your aura is less penetratable. But attached to that scar tissue is that I feel rejected. And so you're, on this date and you're having a good time, but all that person's reading is rejection, and so they're responding to you through rejection, and then ultimately that manifests as rejection. And so dark spots tend to accumulate with trauma or with painful moments in life, and we've all been through a lot of painful moments in life, and not that life is painful, but the way we interpret it, right, or our response to it. Another coping mechanism is people will leave their auras, oh, it's not safe for me to be here, I didn't get my toy, I don't feel that sense of belonging here, it's not safe for me to be here, and so the spirit will just bounce out of the body. I'll come back when I have a friend who's willing to share their toys with me, and so the second the spirit bounces out the body, it creates a little hole in the aura, and so if that tends to be your coping mechanism, then before you know it, you have a highly porous aura, and you feel kind of like this energy sponge where you're feeling everything, and it's almost like no skin, and so you're highly sensitive to your environment, and it's like Princess and the Pea, and every little thing starts to get to you, and you're like, he was totally being nice, why am I feeling it all, and stuff like that. So most people tend to have a combination of both, the dark spots, the scar tissue, and the holes. And so we're going to go through the layers and heal up all the dark and heal up all the holes, and then consciously set our intentions for the aura. And then my example of this is there's this wine shop, literally a block away from my home. So it's the most convenient wine shop, and the wine selection's great. And it would make a lot of sense for me to shop there, but I cannot. The woman who owns it, always so helpful, right? Her words, her mannerisms, in alignment with help and even benevolence, what can I get for you? How can I help you? And I cannot stand her aura. She just feels so angry to me and just defensive, and I'm just stay away. Yeah, and that's the power of an aura. She's being so nice. On paper, if anyone were to watch, they would think I was kind of a bitch because I'm stop. But so I felt that from the start from her, and then a new wine shop opened up a few blocks away, and I was so excited, and I'm in that wine shop, and I'm talking to those owners, and I'm I'm so glad you're here, this is great, you guys are so nice, and da-da-da. And they're where were you going? And I was and I don't like trash talking people, and I have no merit for saying she's a horrible person. She's only ever been nice to me, and I'm I just don't vibe with the owner. And they went into this long drawn out story of how she had gone in there and harassed all the employees and was taking pictures of their stock and being how could you feel, how could you move in here, and what's your rent, and da-da-da, and that just proved what I was already feeling. But that's how the aura goes, is if you're feeling it, don't doubt it. And then I had another friend at the dog park, her dog got into something at the wine shop. Since me knowing that about her aura, there have been all these other examples of she's not that happy. She is kind of angry, and in a certain setting it will come out. But I felt it before. I've never personally experienced that in her, but I felt it. And so the better you get at feeling and sensing auras and reading them, it can prevent all sorts of altercations. It can be really nice for you, and it'll be a little bit of a roadmap to who you allow in your psychic space, in your emotional space, who you don't, and again, we'll set our intentions, and so you'll call in the allies and the friends and the people that vibrate more like you, to create happiness bubbles everywhere. So with that, any questions before we start meditating? Okay, so we're going to be in meditation for a while. So for that reason, two things. I would suggest you do sit up. If you lay down, there might be a tendency to fall asleep, which is not bad. Going back to if we hit trauma energy, the spirit wants to bounce out of the aura. Also, as we're healing, sometimes it can be a little triggering healing. And so if you do fall asleep during the meditation, it might be that you're coming across some unconscious energy or some pain energy that your body just doesn't need to re-experience. And so you might kind of like drift off and doze off as you're doing the healing work. And that's totally cool because your subconscious mind is always listening and you're doing the work and you'll wake back up and you'll have a cleaner aura. But to try and stay awake, I would suggest finding a piece of the wall that you can support. If you're feeling comfortable and like you can support yourself sitting without wall, go for it. You can remain as you are. If you'd like a little bit of backing, you're totally welcome to spread around and find some wall. We're gonna stay here for like a good, I'll try and make it less than an hour, probably like a good 40 minutes. Yeah. It's a while. Yeah. Right, it's gonna be longer than 20 minutes for sure. Yeah.